It's got to be hard for agents to keep up.
Sure.
And kind of rationalize, like, okay, product here, product there, product there. I've got these other 7 products in my portfolio, and like trying to keep them all straight.
Yeah. Well, it's the weird thing is because there's so many products out there, and traditionally Medicare supplements are so easy to get contracted for, so that you can just have this entire portfolio set. There's always a fearfulness of a new Medicare supplement in the market, I found.
Good morning, insurance agents at the senior market. Welcome back to another episode of Near and Far. It is Friday, February 19th, TGIF. Hope you guys are getting ready for the weekend. Josh, you got any big weekend plans?
Taxes? I think I'm gonna do my taxes this weekend.
Woo!
Yeah.
Pay the man.
So excited. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think you're getting a return, I would say you're looking forward to it.
For sure. I got too many 1099s to anticipate a return.
Well, you selling that insurance, baby. All that personal business you're doing.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that I really liked when I was able to kind of write personal business on a fairly regular basis. It's like, oh, I'm getting a check from Aetna. Oh, I'm getting a check from United. Oh, I'm getting a check from Highmark. And it's like, here's my beer money for the weekend.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's really nice to just be able to have a steady income stream that you can use for beer money or Uber Eats or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of where that funnel goes to.
All right, so real quick before we get to the insurance stuff, a conversation we literally were just having like 2 minutes ago before we started filming with Ryan. We were talking about movies and some of the oddest scenes you've ever seen. So if you think about what's one of the weirdest scenes you've ever seen in a movie, I know that for me, one of the weirdest scenes I've ever seen in a movie was from Alien with Sigourney Weaver. Like when the creature like got into the soldier, and then all of a sudden it's like pawing around in the stomach, and it's like rah! Like chews its way out. And the weird thing is like when my ex-wife was pregnant with my children, and like they would be kicking around and punching.
Oh my God.
Like it's the weirdest thing. And someday maybe you'll be there where like, you know, there's a pregnant belly and the arms are moving around and different things. Like that was the horrible vision that I had. Meanwhile, it's my own child that was in there. But if you're thinking about weirdest scene that you've ever seen in a movie, what comes to mind?
It's along the same vein as your Alien story, but it's The Thing. It's like after the dog scene, and like you got like the head that's running around. It's got like all like the claws and everything. It's so weirdly amazing. It's great.
Yeah, I would say a close second for me is the Jeff Goldblum version of The Fly.
Yeah.
With some of the things that happen in there, it's just like I don't even know what I'm seeing right now. But hey, we'd love to hear about what some of your favorite weird movie scenes. Hey, it's a Friday. Let's talk about some different stuff. Hit us up in the comments, and hey, if you'd like to see, maybe we'll compile some of your answers. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on notifications, so that when we come back with, hey, here's what some of the agents are saying about crazy movie scenes, we can fill you in. But so all right, let's get back to it. It's a Friday. We should probably do some work.
I suppose.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was thinking about over the course of the last couple days is we're getting a lot of announcements on Medicare Supplement product right now. It's like, here's this carrier coming out with new paper. Here, hey, Mutual of Omaha is doing a rate rebuild in like 5 states. That information started coming around. We just talked to Christy Myers about that. Probably going to have Mike do an upcoming podcast with her on kind of detail around that. But the thought that I had, I'm interested in the conversations that you have with agents on it. It's got to be hard for agents to keep up.
Sure.
And kind of rationalize, like, okay, product here, product there, product there. I've got these other 7 products in my portfolio. Like trying to keep them all straight.
Yeah. Well, it's the weird thing is because there's so many products out there, and traditionally Medicare supplements are so easy to get contracted for, so that you can just have this entire portfolio set overnight with 10, 15 different products, but maybe you only really focus or care about one. And I know that it's always a problem when like we release new products into the market. We've got great rates, they're competitive, great commissions and everything like that. But when we talk to an agent, they're like, well, how long have they been in the market? Well, they're brand new. I don't know about that. And they kind of, waffle on if they're brand new, or if it's like a Mutual of Omaha situation and they're coming out with new paper, or they get... There's always a fearfulness of a new Medicare supplement in the market, I found.
Yeah. Well, to your point about how easy it is to add that appointment, it's not like an MA plan where you do the contracting, and sometimes you got to use their online contracting system. Very, very, every once in a while you can use our Sure LC process where you've got a profile, it's click, and you're done. With a lot of these MedSupps, like, if I called into the office right now and I was talking to Bethany, and Bethany's like, hey, do you want to add Manhattan Life, Union Security, and Lumico? I would get like 3 emails or text messages like on my phone, ping, 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 done.
Yes.
It's literally that quick to try to do it. So I mean that's a great point. So literally, it's like every day you could just contract with a new one. It almost feels like you're not doing anything.
It really does. I mean, because then you're integrity products, aside, because you could easily just log in there. Here's one email. Here's a second email. Here's a third. When you log into the website, you complete everything. I think it's like less than 7 pages in total to get contracted. But then what? What do you do as an agent after that to learn these products, utilize these products? How do you utilize these products at the kitchen table? Or if you're doing everything digital, what products allow those capabilities? But that's a lot that we're able to offer to our agents to kind of give them, hey, these are the products that you want to have in your portfolio. Here are the use cases for them, and here's how you sell online.
Yeah. Well, and you made a remark about the carriers that come out with new paper. I can remember when that kind of started. It was so exciting. It's like, here's and Mutual of Omaha is the best example because that was the first one that I really remember kind of engaging in that, where it's like we had Mutual of Omaha forever. It's like Mutual of Omaha is out there. They're advertising on golfers' sweaters and different stuff, and everybody knows their commercials. And then all of a sudden it was like United World, and we're like, holy man, like look at this rate. Like how did they do this? Like I thought they were Mutual of Omaha. And they're like, no, we've got this subsidiary insurance company, and here's this new paper. It's still from Mutual of Omaha, but it's not from Mutual of Omaha. The rates are just better.
Right. And
I was like, wow, this is great. Like I can remember that MedSupp launch, and then it was Omaha Insurance Company, and then it was United of Omaha. Then it was, so that was kind of how it started. But I sense that agents, and I think you talked about this a little bit earlier. I think a lot of agents, there's a growing fatigue with the paper flipping game.
For sure. It's not only that you have to remember that it's not just Mutual of Omaha now, it's United of Omaha, or it's not just Cigna now, it's Chillick or CHIC or whatever. Everything is, it's the new paper, but with the new paper, maybe there's new underwriting, there's definitely going to be new rates. And speaking of those new rates, what happens to the old rates? What happens to those clients that were on the previous plans that you sold? Should you, as the agent, be concerned that their rates are going to be spiking now that the new products are launching?
The analogy I have with kind of the paper flipping, paper migration stuff is I feel like you're playing a game of chess. Yep. It's like you and I here with the chessboard and we're playing, and then all of a sudden it's like you toss another bishop and rook on the table after we're down to like 5 pieces. It's like, wait, what are we doing? Like I built this strategy here, and like now maybe we're not doing it. And then like 2 moves later, you get me in checkmate. It's like, oops, here's 4 pawns. I'm just laying in front of you.
Right.
It's kind of an interesting thing. But the thing that I think is an interesting kind of discussion to have with an agent is, you've got some agents who say, I want the stable and timeless product.
Sure.
Like I want something built like the pyramids.
Yes.
Where it's like, it's here today, it's going to be here, the same exact thing thousands of years from now. And then there are other agents who are like, hey, I want the best possible rate. Like I will, I got the pyramids, like pyramids up there, sail on, But no, I mean this is the dichotomy. Like, so you've got, I want the pyramids, and then it's like I will literally contract with a new company to offer my client a rate that's 25 cents cheaper.
Sure. Yeah.
And I guess what sometimes is interesting is it's like we hear agents talking about, I hate the paper flipping. This is ridiculous. Like, they just came out with new paper 2 years ago, and now it's another new paper. Yep. But at the same time, when you have the conversation about, okay, well then why don't you sell Humana Achieve, or why don't you sell AARP, or some of these others?
Sure.
That's like, well, it's $4 more expensive. I can't. So it's kind of a question of, okay, well, what is it that you're really looking for? Are you looking for the pyramids?
Right.
Or are you looking for something else?
Right. And then at the end of the day, too, I mean, the thing about a Medicare supplement is a plan G is a plan G. A plan N is a plan N.
A G is a G.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So even if I think some agents have this mindset that, hey, I can get you the same plan for a cheaper price than any of the other plans, whether they're AARP, Humana, whatever. I don't necessarily like that strategy because I don't like to sell from the bottom. Not to say that there isn't good brands and good product that have the lowest cost, but those, in my opinion, are the most volatile. Because if you only have shoppers that are looking for the lowest price, a ton of them are going to be jumping on board that, which potentially is going to get the carrier in a lot of trouble when the rates start,
because they're the first people to jump out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what has been interesting, I would say, over the course of the last couple of years, because the environment used to be you had your lowest price available group of carriers who generally were not household names. And then you had your big brand products, anywhere between $8 to $20 off the floor.
Right.
And so there was a legitimate discussion. But I would say that there's really been a reemergence of the big brand products over the course of the last couple of years. Like, you've got AARP, their rates are maybe better positioned than I've ever seen.
Yep.
You've got the Humana Achieve product that came out and has been doing really well. Like, they kind of had a slower start in the first couple of months, and then it's like starting to take off. The CVS Health Ascendo product, which came out last year during the spring, and somehow in the midst of a global pandemic had a huge launch.
Right.
And interestingly enough, Anthem, that I traditionally haven't heard a lot of agents talking about their MedSupp product, but there are a lot of markets where they're like, probably within $5 of the floor. Like, they're doing pretty well. It's been interesting to see those carriers really start to pop, like very close to the floor on CSG.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, historically, we've seen United Healthcare had been the product where you could market it as, hey, they're never going to be the cheapest, but they've at least been around for a long time. So you can, know that it's a good product. The rate increase is, pretty much locked in at a 3.5%. But nowadays, when you look at the quote engine or CSG or anything like that, you really see that AARP is, boom, right near the top. And the same with all these other carriers too. And like you said, with CVS being able to come in during a global pandemic and do the business that they did really speaks volumes to how much people know that brand and trust it.
Yeah. Well, I remember when that product was getting ready to launch and we were kind of getting the advance notice of it, that there was some insane statistics. So don't quote me on this, but it was something kind of along the lines of this. That they said that, I think it was like 70%, 80% of the population lives within 3 miles of a CVS. It was something along those lines where it's like within X amount of miles of a CVS, this percentage of the pop, and it was a staggering number. Like, it just blew my mind. I'll have to go back and look that up, or maybe Chris College can tell us. But so yeah, I mean, from a brand perspective, that's the case. Here, just an aside, like talking about Quote Engine and CSG. I had a carrier rep tell me one time, and this was their perspective. I don't agree with this perspective, but it was interesting, that they thought that CSG was the worst thing that had ever happened for the Medicare supplement industry.
What was...
And their perspective, and this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it was a carrier that wasn't writing a lot of business, but their perspective was that prior to CSG, that agents would find a product that they were comfortable with.
Sure.
That they were making a good commission, that the rates were competitive, and that overall from a service infrastructure standpoint, it did a good job.
Sure.
And they just wrote it. And they weren't constantly chasing something that was $1 cheaper, $2 cheaper, $3 cheaper.
Yeah.
Now, I'm of the mindset that, information is great.
Yep.
Like, the more information that you can give to an independent insurance agent to help consumers make the best choice possible, I think that's a good thing. But, is it possible that our new partners at CSG, welcome to the family, glad to have you guys, is it possible that their quote engine, which is really, it is the quote engine, in this space, is it possible that product has really changed agent behavior and by extension changed consumer decision making?
I feel like if that was the case, we would sell a lot more of the lowest premium plan than we would anything else. And I just don't really see that. I think that the agent manager's point is accurate, that agents do get familiar with their current repertoire, their current portfolio of products. And a lot of them like that set. If they go on CSG, I don't think it's necessarily that they're rate finding and trying to find the lowest rate, but I think that they want to compare the plans that they have in their portfolio at a faster and easier and more effective rate than they wanted to. I mean, like, how fast do you think it is to pull up a rate for, Ascendo Medicare Supplement Plan F, and then also compare it to a Plan G, and then also compare it to a Plan N?
90 seconds.
Exactly.
Tops.
Yeah.
Especially if you're using the app
Yeah.
on the phone. So, hey, if you want to be able to find that rate in 90 seconds, use the Neishloss Fleming smartphone app that you can download off the App Store.
Exactly. But if you also wanted to take a look at what the cost of Cigna would be, then you have to go to the Cigna app, and you have to go to the United Healthcare app to look at theirs. But what CSG actually allows you to do is, boop, here's all the information that you need for all of these plans for any particular zip code that you're wanting to find.
Yeah. I just thought that was an interesting perspective. It's like, okay, this access to the information has their perspective. Okay, again, I don't agree with it, but I just like talking about it.
Yeah.
Completely changed, and their thought was, because the agents are constantly seeing rate differentials in the fastest possible way, they feel pressured.
Yeah.
To, well, wow, what if I give my client this product that's $5 more than this one?
Sure.
Like, is somebody going to undercut me? And then the agents constantly feel like it's a race to the floor.
Yeah. It's an interesting perspective for sure. Yeah.
Something worth talking about. All right, so here's a great question for you to kind of wrap up with today. So, if an agent called you right now, like we walk out from shooting this morning, and they end up calling up and say, hey, Josh, I just watched Near and Far. I'd love to know, if you were trying to build your MedSupp portfolio, like how would you approach building it?
You would have to look at, obviously, the market for any particular agent is going to shift dramatically from where they are currently in the U.S. But I think having a strong name brand product is most likely going to beat a no-name product. But you have to have a no-name product in case the brand that you bring to the table doesn't fit the bill. And oftentimes, I do find some of the carriers that we work with are polarizing. So maybe folks don't like the AARP brand, so you got to bring something else to the table. And then you'll probably want to also have something that, if Plan G is your main focus, you might also want to have something like a Plan N in your back pocket that you bring to the table as well.
Okay.
How about you?
So, I think that for me, and I can think to when I was running personal business on a fairly regular basis, and my thought on this has always been, and a good friend of ours, Dwayne McFerrin at SMS, who's a really smart guy, like he said something in a meeting one time that I really carried with me, and I know I've said this to you guys a bunch of times. Dwayne's perspective is, if you have more than 3 products in your portfolio for MedSupp, you probably have too many.
Yeah.
And I've thought about that a lot, and I actually thought when I was writing, was that how I approached it? And it kind of was. Like, I like to have a big brand product that was very, very strong from a rate perspective. So if I was doing this today and I looked like at our local market, it would be AARP, because the AARP MedSupp rates here in Pennsylvania are killing right now.
Right.
They're just great. If my big brand product did not have a super competitive rate, to your point, I would look for, what's a product I feel good about that's within $3 to $5 of the floor. So that if I had a consumer that literally did not care about brand at all, they're just like, I want the cheapest possible rate, I don't care what it is. Okay, I've got that product. Sometimes it could be the big brand product, other times it might not be.
Right.
And then I would try to have a product or two that was like my underwriting fail-safe.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, and at the time, I always seemed to have a product that, like, where can I place my people with insulin-dependent diabetics? That seemed to be one. Hey, where can I place clients who have a good rate for smokers? Like stuff like that that I might keep around. But I think now, a lot of it, you're looking for online enrollment capability too, especially in the environment with COVID, where a lot of people don't want to meet. That you might have a product that kind of checks those boxes, but maybe their electronic tools aren't up to snuff. That's another factor that I think is in play, but that's probably how I build out mine.
Yeah, for sure. That makes complete sense, especially with the underwriting questions too. I mean, there are states that have no underwriting at all for the MedSupps, but for states like Pennsylvania and most of the country, you want to make sure that you have something significantly that works well with folks with chronic conditions.
Yeah, and that speaks to the regional differences. That here at home, it's one of those things where, like, you got to deal with underwriting. Out in Connecticut, you know, we got a lot of agents out there that we work with. Underwriting is not a factor.
Right.
Like you have different states with, you know, birthday rules or community rated or heck, our folks up in Wisconsin, you know, they don't even have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, you know, they don't even have those anymore. You know, the other thing, the last thing I'd say on this subject is knowing that we just went from an environment where Plan F was available to everybody to now Plan F is only available to folks who turned 65 prior to January 1 of 20. I think it's also a good idea to have like a strong F product.
Yeah.
Because a lot of carriers have avoided F. There are some carriers who are really focused on it, like Central States of Omaha.
Yeah.
You know, they have made their play around, we are going to be the best carrier for F.
Right.
And they're really doing it. I mean, you know, we're seeing Plan F sales with that product like really go crazy, but that may be another factor in this new environment that agents got to consider.
Yeah, I mean, it works well for them too, because if their main focus is, hey, we're selling Plan F, but you have to really get through underwriting and get Plan F, the business that they're selling should be theoretically, you know, capable of getting through underwriting much more healthy than the rest of us.
And should be really sustainable too.
Yeah.
Because there's so many carriers that are like, we want your underwritten business. Give us your underwritten business. You know, and sometimes you get an insurance carrier that'll call us up and you know, kind of be upset with us. They're like, you know, we're getting too much open enrollment business for you guys. We really need more underwritten business. It's like, yeah, you got an awesome rate at 65. Like,
Exactly.
what, you know,
What do you want us to do?
Yeah, I mean, should the agent be like, you know, I need to spread this around? If you position yourself with a great rate at 65, you're going to get a lot of open enrollment business.
Exactly.
So, hey, well, this has been good. I really appreciate you sharing that on the thing with the movie stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we need to continue this conversation offline.
Yeah, I'm 100%.
Yeah, and I'm interested in Ryan's take. Like maybe Ryan's got something to share.
I guarantee Ryan's got something good.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We will be back with you on Monday, February 22nd. This has been Josh. I'm Bill, and this has been Near and Far. We'll see you on Monday.